Hey everybody, Angelica here and welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be doing a book review on Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. And I feel like I might be a little late to this game here, but I just finished this 3 days ago, and I'm not gonna lie, it did take me a little bit to finish it. This is one of the slower reads that I've had by Colleen, but I still wanted to do a review on the book and what I overall thought. I'm gonna try to do a spoiler-free synopsis first, and then from there I'm going to try to get into the nitty-gritties and details of what I overall thought of the book. Start off with the spoiler-free kind of review. The book is pretty much a book about a young woman who goes to prison for, kind of like a drunk driving accident that accidentally kills her boyfriend at the time. And it's pretty much, she's fresh out of prison and she's just trying to get custody of her daughter. And the only person that's kind of in connection with her is the one person that she least expects it, and that's kind of like the love interest in the book. And I feel like that's the best synopsis to give it to it. Even with the back of what Colleen Hoover even has on here, it literally just says how Kenna is returning to town to try to rebuild and her burned bridges, and how she, Ledger is the only person that's kind of in connection to help her get in connection with her daughter. So it's pretty much just a book about a young woman discovering things that I guess she's never experienced, whether it's through love or connections or people or anything like that. I'm going to give the book, I can still rate it and still it be a spoiler free. I'm going to give the rating of the overall book a 2 out of 5 stars. And if you read it, you might think differently of me, but once I get into the spoiler section, I'm going to really try to break down why I gave it such a low rating. I've never, ever given a Colleen Hoover book that low of a rating before. 2 out of 5, I've never given a Colleen Hoover book that low. I didn't like the main character, and it just comes down to I didn't like her. So it was hard for me to sympathize and get involved with what she was going through, just because I didn't like her. But I still do recommend reading it because I know a lot of people do like it, and the story itself is, not a bad story. It's just what they focused on was the issue that I had with it, and that's where I'm going to go with the spoilers. I'm not really good at doing a spoiler review or spoiler-free review, because I just feel like people could have opinions about what they think is a spoiler and what they think is not a spoiler. So I'm just going to give the most basic synopsis ever, and that's what that was. So if you are going to read it, definitely check it out and come back to this video and we'll talk about the nitty-gritties of why the fuck I did not like this book. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst book I've ever read. It just was not my favorite out of all the Colleen Hoover books I've read. You know what I'm saying? Can we just start off with Kenna? Can we just start off with Kenna? So the reason I really did not fuck with this book, and the reason I feel like I gave it such a low rating, is because I did not like Kenna. I don't know. I just felt like from the beginning of the book to the middle of the book to the end of the book, I just felt like she felt that she... So I kept saying that I felt that she felt that she deserved things that she didn't deserve. I felt like she thought, oh, I went to prison. I did my time. I want my daughter. And I think she came into town with this idea that Patrick and Grace and everybody was just kind of supposed to be over it, or we're supposed to forgive her, or we're supposed to somehow have moved on by now. And I felt she went into this, she showed up to town just thinking that she was just going to be able to see her daughter and that she was going to be able to build a, I don't know, and maybe some people might disagree with me on that she didn't come in like that, but that's the vibes that I got. Every time I kept reading it, I was just like, Kenna, bro, you haven't done anything. She didn't do anything. I'm going to say that plain blank right now. She did not do anything this whole book. Out of all, how many pages are there? 320 pages. There's 300... There's, oh, I guessed it right. There's 320 pages. There's 320 pages that this book consists of. That's kind of story. And I felt like one time did she actively try to see her daughter? Did she actively go try to talk in Grace and Patrick? Did she actively do the right things to see her daughter? After after Ledger stopped her from going to Grace and Patrick's house, give me a moment. Give me a moment in this whole book, besides her running after her daughter in the grocery parking lot, where she tried to actively get forgiveness, where she actively tried to see her daughter, where she actively tried to do the right thing to get her daughter. The book, I get this is a romance novel, I do, but I felt like the whole time we stayed at her apartment with Ledger. Like, when were we going to try to get your daughter back? And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, it's been like 5 months since she first got to town. So it's been 5 months before Grace and Patrick read your letter and heard your side of things, and it was just, I don't know. I just didn't like how much she didn't do. And then at the end, she just got everything. Like, I feel like, literally, so we got to her side, and we got to her, and this, I'm sorry, this video's kind of got a little bit all over the place, but I just am so in my feelings with this book, because I'm just so frustrated with Kenna, and where the story ended up going. And I felt Kenna just acted like she deserved everything, and she gets to the part where Grace and Patrick are still not forgiving her, and she's just like, why are they not forgiving me? They're never gonna forgive me. They're still not over it. It's been 5 years. I went to jail. They're not gonna forgive me ever. It's like, bro, you killed their son. I don't blame you for the overall accident, because you both were intoxicated, you both were high, you both decided to get in the vehicle, and he told you, Scotty said, you drive, Kenna, because I'm too drunk. I don't blame Kenna necessarily for Scotty dying. I do judge her for leaving him. You can say what you want, I do judge her for leaving him, but I don't necessarily blame her for his death. But at the same time, it comes down to, like, she was mute the whole fucking court trial. She didn't say a word the whole court trial. And she just expected people to know her side of things, or to understand her side of things. It's like, you didn't tell nobody nothing. You barely talked to your lawyer. And you expected Grace and Patrick to just forgive you. Ledger had to fall in love with you for him to forgive you. And I think he started to be super biased towards the end there. He can say that he always put Demine's feelings first, but at the end of the book, he started to hate Patrick and Grace. He started to judge them. He started to be like, that's not fair. This is so fucked up that they're doing this to you, Kenna. You deserve your daughter. Like, don't switch the fuck up just because you got some pussy. It's just like, try to put yourself in Grace and Patrick's shoes, and I feel like Ledger forgot to do that. I felt like Kenna didn't do that. I felt like they fully weren't understanding Grace and Patrick's side of things, and I felt like the whole book I did. The whole book, every time, I understood why Grace and Patrick didn't fuck with Kenna. I understood why Grace and Patrick didn't want Kenna involved, and I understood why Grace and Patrick did all the things that they did because of the way that Kenna approached this. The way that Ledger approached this. Ledger was more focused on having sex with Kenna than he was trying to find the best way to approach Grace and Patrick with the dilemma of Kenna being involved in Demine's life. And it just irritated the fuck out of me. It irritated me so much because this isn't a teen book. This isn't... Ledger, you're almost 30, boo. And there was just no reason for y'all to act like this. There was no reason for y'all to, not understand. Kenna, Grace and Patrick, Scotty was their whole world. Scotty was their miracle child. Scotty was literally on a pedestal. And you took him from them. Even though you did not mean to do that on purpose, it was never intentional. You didn't hate Scotty. You loved him probably more than a lot of people did. But it comes down to nobody knew your side of things until we read the letter. And it's just like you expected people to understand your side of things without explaining things to them. I don't get it. It was just a little frustrating. And I think I got to the end of the book, and then Grace read the letter, and she just forgave Kenna, and I felt I still didn't agree with Kenna's actions. Even if she thought Scotty was dead. I get that she went insane and started just going kind of crazy, but why did she go to her apartment? Why did she go to her apartment? How do you not walk back to him? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not, I don't got a master's degree, so don't even come at me being like, you don't understand. If you were in that position, you don't know what you would do. You're right. I would not know what I would do, but I feel like I wouldn't leave my man. I just wouldn't leave him behind. I don't care if I thought... I just can't look past the fact that Scotty laid around for 6 hours dying. I can't, like, look past the fact that Scotty crawled out the fucking car probably looking for Kenna because that's how good of a man he was. And I just... Reading the letter almost made me even more disappointed in Kenna. I don't know. I feel like I'm judging her. And maybe I'm just not the forgiving type. Maybe I'm just the kind of person that, like, I can't look past her actions and how she acted afterwards and how uninvolved and how unresponsive and how... I don't know. I just can't look past that we get to the end of the book and Grace still didn't forgive her right away. Before she read the letter, there's a part where Grace and Patrick literally get, put a restraining order on Kenna. They literally tell Ledger, we don't want nothing to do with that bitch. And you gotta choose. It's Kenna or it's Demeen. And Ledger's over here like, I'm so mad at them. I'm upset. I can't believe they did this. I hate them. This isn't fair to you. And like Kenna just being like, yeah, you're right, pretty much. Kenna just being like, they're never gonna forgive me. They hate me. They still blame me for everything. They're never gonna look past it. Like, why aren't they over it? I did my time. I went to jail. And it's just like, Kenna, bro, you're not 17. You're 25, bro. You're a grown-ass fucking woman. Stop. You say that, but if it was Demeen or if it was... nobody's putting themselves in Grace's... in Patrick's shoes, and it's irritating the fuck out of me. Everybody and their moms is, like, hyping this book up, hyping Ledger up. They love Kenna. They think Kenna was, like, deserved better. But I read the whole book, and I just felt like... when I think of the way to describe Kenna, it's almost like she went through, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say she went through life just thinking she deserved things, but it's like she went through stuff like expecting things to go her way. Or expecting, like I think she dead ass expected to go to Grace and Patrick's house, knock on the door and be like, hey, can I see my daughter? You guys over it, right? It's been 5 years, we're good, right? R.I.P. Scotty. I don't know. I feel like I'm a dick. I just did not fuck with Kenna. Like, how I felt about Kenna is how I felt about Miles through all of Ugly Love. The only time I liked Miles was when we were reading through his point of view. When we were, like, the 9 years ago or whatever. But when we were reading through Tate's point of view, I did not fuck with Miles. I don't fuck with Kenna. And I liked Ledger until he started being biased the moment he got vagina from her. I felt like he started to defend Kenna and started to forget why he didn't like her and totally, dismiss what happened with her and Scotty. I just feel like he started to fall in love with her and just totally forget everything into why keeping her at bay was important and why communicating with Patrick and Grace was important and why doing all of this the right way was important. And Kenna didn't do anything the right way. Ledger didn't do anything the right way. Neither of them did anything the right way, and then they got everything they wanted at the end. And they didn't do anything to work for that. They didn't do anything to deserve that. I 100% think that Kenna deserves a chance to meet her daughter and possibly be involved in her daughter's life and all that stuff. But Kenna and Ledger have to accept the fact that Grace and Patrick have custody, and that's that. You lost custody. That is that. And you guys need to, like, accept that and find proper ways to go about this. Not, just... The whole book is in their apartment. We're either at the grocery store, we're either in the fucking ugly orange truck, or we're at Ledger's house. It's just like, I wish the book focused more on Kenna actually trying to redeem herself. I just felt like she didn't redeem herself. It's just like, we just got to know her. This is who she's been the whole time. So it's just like, she didn't redeem herself. She didn't do anything in the whole book to really deserve a chance with her daughter back. And maybe there could be people out there that saying she doesn't have to do anything. That's her daughter, and she just automatically gets the right to see her. And, some people might feel like that. But, like, if I were Grace and Patrick and Scotty was my son, and I was, a woman who literally I thought was a bitch and a woman that I thought didn't care about my son, due to the sole fact that she didn't say anything throughout the whole trial, didn't even have last witness testimonies, didn't even try to apologize or, like, ask for forgiveness or say she was sorry. It was just like, when you don't say anything and then Patrick and Grace have this vision or picture of you in their head, and then that's what they've always thought of you for the last 5.5 years, and then for the book just to for Grace just to forgive her like that, and for it to just be over like that, and then everything's happy-go-lucky within the last, like, 20 pages. I don't know. I thought it was kind of silly. It's not a bad book. It just wasn't my favorite whatsoever. This was probably the longest it's taken me to read a Colleen Hoover book. It took me over a month. And I had to go on Audible. I could not get myself to actually sit here and read it. I had to put it on Audible so I could do stuff while I listened to it and force myself to keep reading it. But, like, I did not like it. I don't think. I just didn't like it. I have read 18. This is my 18th or 19th Colleen Hoover book that I have now read. And I did not like this one. I didn't like Heartbones either. Heartbones is another, like, 2.5 out of 5 stars. Didn't like that one either, but that's a whole nother book review. But it's just like this one. I just didn't like the main character. I felt like I didn't like Kenna and Ledger. I just, like, especially, I don't know. It's just like, it just felt like they acted like teenagers, but y'all grown adults. Y'all grown adults. Y'all grown adults. Like I said, 2 out of 5 stars. I mean, just wasn't my favorite. It just wasn't my favorite. I mean, like, there's scenes that I do like, and there's a lot of good one-liners in here, and the scene with Kenna, and I couldn't imagine losing my loved one like that, so I still sympathize with Kenna. It's just a matter of, like, I didn't like her as a person, and I didn't like her person. I don't know. That just was me. I don't know. That, you know, let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys didn't agree with my opinions. Maybe you did. You know, let's talk about it. You have any other book recommendations? I'm always open to reading new books, so definitely pop those recommendations in the comment section. And I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I also think it's interesting that this whole book was based off of, like, we only followed Ledger and Kenna the majority of the book, and maybe that's why I kind of got annoyed with them. I wish we would have followed people like Ronan more, or like, it was just like, we just followed Grace and Patrick. And Ledger, like, if we weren't seeing Ledger and Kenna, we were seeing Grace and Patrick and Damien the whole book. So it was just like, I wish there was more people, I guess. Other than that, like, and maybe that's why I just kind of got annoyed with just reading just those two. It was just like they weren't doing anything that exciting for me to be like, yes, Ledger and Kenna, woo woo. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I was kind of rambly and very negative drawn with this one. I just didn't like it. I don't know. And I love Colleen. I love Colleen. Don't get me wrong. I love Colleen. But, like, this just was not it for me. Just was not it. Was not it. Was not it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You know, definitely like and subscribe if you did enjoy it. If you made it this long in the video, appreciate you. You guys are seriously the best. And I'm not joking. Please comment below what you thought of Reminders of Him if you read it. And if you're going to read it, let me know what you rated out of 1 out of 5 stars. And if there's any other Colleen Hoover books that you have, like, I dead ass telling you guys, I read them all. Ugly Love, the Hopeless series, you know, Slammed, Point of Retreat. I've read November 9. I've read Verity, Without Merit. I've read them all. So any kind of, like, we'll talk book. I'm live in those comment sections, so I'm always going to be talking about books. And if you want me to rate any other ones, or if you have any recommendations for me to read and you want a book review on it, definitely recommend those. I will read recommendations if I think the book sounds interesting enough, and if I loved it or hate it and I really get passionate about it, I'll make a review. So even if I didn't like Reminders of Him, I got really passionate about it with the things I didn't like and how I felt about Kenna. So I just, like, got into it so much to the point that I had to do a video, because, like, I love Colleen and I loved all this and stuff. The cover's so beautiful, the pigeon, it all makes sense, it's so aesthetically pleasing, like all of her covers are. It just wasn't for me. Ooh, that was kind of loud, sorry. It just wasn't for me. But, yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I will see you next time I'm uploading. I'm no longer going to say when I'm uploading or when I'm going to do next, because I can never stay consistent. So, we'll see each other next time we see each other. Deuces.